Hi, Jody here from Healing Journey, www.healingjourneyservices.com. Today we're going to be talking a lot more about detox, what detox is, and why you need to start thinking about detox differently in order to heal your gut. So before we dive in, just a reminder that I have an amazing membership program called Gut Instinct. This is a way for you to have incredible support and accountability as you're going through to heal your guts, to find out those step-by-step way to heal your gut and to be guided by me on an ongoing basis. You have access to testing that gets you real answers to what's really going on, and then I create protocols for you to then help you address what's going on. All right, so let's dive in. And first, I want to begin by talking a little bit more about what detox is and what it's not. So detox is a process or a period of time which you get rid of the toxins or unhealthy substances from your body. So detox really, when we're talking about it in terms of a functional medicine sphere, it is not short-term. Detox is something that's long-term, and it's actually a lifelong strategy. So really detox is two things. So one, it's the removal of unwanted toxins from within your body, right? And two, it's getting rid of sources of exposure of toxins, and this kind of environmental. So it's detoxing our environmental world and then detoxing internally. So, a lot of times people, they think, oh, I don't need to detox. I didn't work in this crazy chemical valley. I didn't get known toxic exposure. I really don't need to detox except for eating clean. That should be enough. And unfortunately, at this day and age, eating clean is just not enough to detox your system. And so that's what it's really become. I'm going to do a juice cleanse. I'm going to eat green juice. I'm going to fast, and then I'm detoxing. And detoxing is so much more than just doing these things. So let's talk about some stats around toxins. So what's fascinating and disturbing and pukable is that the US produces or imports the equivalent of 250 pounds of chemicals per person per day. That's disgusting. And what is also maybe shocking for you is the fact that very little research has been done on these toxins. So in the US, only a few hundred of these toxins, or chemicals, I should say, have been studied, and we're talking about 85,000 chemicals. And in Canada, there's also quite a large amount. What's even more disturbing, so we wonder why our babies are unwell more and more and more in this era. Well, babies are born with an average of 287 chemicals in their blood. So that's a lot of chemicals to already come into the world with, and they're getting those chemicals obviously from us and environmental exposure. So according to the Environmental Protection Agency, the average person has over 700 chemicals in their bodies, and babies have an average of 70 chemicals in their body. So that is a high amount of toxic load. So you might want to rethink it if you're thinking like, hey, deep detox isn't for me, because these toxins are likely one of the main reasons that you are keeping on being sick. So, there's a lot sometimes of metals hidden deep within your tissues just from regular exposure. There could be chemicals hidden in your body, right? So we're getting these kinds of toxins on an everyday basis. How are we getting them? So number one is we ingest them in. So let's talk about non-organic food. The non-organic food is being sprayed with things like glyphosate and other chemicals, And so that is where we're ingesting it that way. We might be breathing it in. And so the example I really like to give with this is when we're talking about, for example, thallium toxicity. So thallium is now in all gasoline. So instead of lead being in gas, they replaced it. It's now unleaded gas, but it has a new heavy metal in it called thallium. And thallium is in the air. And so you're going to be breathing that in on a daily basis, absorbing the toxins through your skin. And so this is a big one for women especially. So, you know, all of those beauty products that they've done such a good job at marketing, you're actually putting a toxic soup on your skin every single day. And for women, I mean, this is tons and tons of products. This is lipsticks. This is eyeshadows, eyeliners, foundations. Then you've got conditioners, you've got the moisturizers, you've got the wrinkle removers, you've got shampoo, you've got that bar of soap, you've got the lotions, you've got the perfumes. So that's a lot of stuff. So you don't just have to eat toxins to get exposure to them. You're doing it every day if you're buying unhealthy or chemically made or enhanced beauty products. And then injections or implants. So breast implants are a big one that can cause breast implant illness, and injections, obviously vaccines. I'm not going to get into vaccines here, but there are additives to vaccines that are not, that are known to be toxic. That's a fact. Okay, so heavy metals, I could do a whole entire live on, and so I'm not going to go into heavy metals, except I'm going to talk very briefly about mercury. So mercury is a huge heavy metal that is everyone's exposed to. If you eat fish, you get exposure to mercury. And so I've done a whole live on that, or an IGTV on that, so check that out because mercury can cause a whole host of problems. Then you're going to get things like the dirty dozen endocrine disruptors. And these are things like BPA that used to be in the plastics, atrazine. So this is an herbicide that's used on weeds and crops. You're going to get petrochlorate. So those are all things that are going to disrupt your hormone balance. So those are chemicals that we're getting exposed to. For example, perfluorinated chemicals. I can't even say that word properly. So those are things in like nonstick cookware, in your food wrappers, in water-resistant protective clothing, in water-resistant or stain-protected furniture. So all of those things that are doing us, that we love to live with, are also very toxic. So when we're talking about beauty products, this is a huge one. And there are so many things in beauty products. And the big one that I really like to zoom in on is fragrance. So fragrance, because it's a secret or proprietary blend, they don't actually have to disclose what's in it. But commonly there's over 3,000 chemicals in fragrance. And so this is why, you know, you might see something where there's fairly good things in it, and then you notice fragrance. And so you're actually getting a lot of toxic exposure with that, which is why, you know, when people get that chemical smell sensitivity, there's a huge issue when it comes to fragrance because it's toxic for the body. Coal tar, for example, that's something that is used in hair dyes. And we know a lot of these things that are used in products that we put on our bodies are problematic. Coal tar has been linked with, I believe, cancer, right? And so the challenge, you might be sitting there going, I don't understand, why are these products on the market? Well, one of the big challenges is that when we're doing research, we're looking at one specific product and we're not looking at a combination of products. So as I've just gone through, you know that you're not just exposing yourself to one thing, right? You're exposed to like hundreds, if not thousands of things, of toxins every single day. And so nobody's really researching that cumulative effect. So what's the effect on my body, especially if I don't detox well, if I'm exposed to all of these toxins at the same time? And then what we also don't know is how do they interact? So how is the aluminum in my aluminum cookware going to interact with other sorts of toxins that I'm exposed to, like glyphosate, right? Those two things are believed to really interact, and they can, you know, the combination is more damaging than one or the other. And so we don't know that. We don't know that at all. And that's why when you're talking about when I'm talking about detox, we're really talking about, getting an air filter for your home, getting a water filter so that you're, removing the heavy metals from your water. And then we're talking about slowly removing out toxic cookware, toxic cleaning products, all of those things. That is detoxing your life. So before I wrap up, I just want to talk a little bit more about how this is connected to your gut. So your gut, the lining of your gut needs to be very healthy, kind of looking like healthy coral that's not been bleached. And if you're exposing the lining of your gut to chemicals, much like coral is going to, be damaged when it's exposed to chemicals in the water and other kind of damaging products, the same thing is going to be happening with the lining of our gut. It's going to become damaged, right? We're going to get leaky gut. We're not going to be producing enough enzymes to break our food down. We're going to be hosting lots of parasites now because now we have a terrible internal environment from a GI perspective. And we know that, things like glyphosate and chemicals can actually lead to leaky gut. And so that's why a huge chunk of you healing your gut actually means removing these chemicals from your life. Okay, so if you have any questions, feel free to post them below, and I would love to hear from you. What kind of detox have you had done in your life?